off recording, everybody. Awesome. So we will get started in a couple minutes here. And while everyone's throwing in the chat where they're from, love to see it. Love to see it. I love to see out even new market call outs. That's amazing. What I'd also love to know is we have just kicked off, or I guess a month into it now, Q4. So if you have an emoji in mind to describe your Q4, what would that be, everybody? Are we on top of things? Is the room on fire? Patrick, for you, what's an emoji that would describe how you're feeling about Q4 so far?
Have a look. Roller coaster. Now, to be honest, I think this Q4, it's just my opinion, will be the hardest ever. It's the first Q4 after Corona. We were, to be honest, gold diggers the past 2 years. Yeah, that's just true. And see how it goes. But I think it's getting very wild, this Q4. And for some of our clients, we're using a strategy. We keep normal messaging, normal ads, and just do Black Friday sales on page. So we try to get quality traffic and convert them as a suite, like now in trick or treat.
This is why I'm so excited for everybody, the recording and everyone, because right away, you see how you jump in? Like, this is why. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so we can kick this bad boy off. But welcome to the party, everybody. Patrick and I are super happy to have you here today. And like, what I'm really excited about is I've had the privilege of knowing Patrick and really respecting him for the past couple of years. So I'm excited for everyone to just get like a peek into his brain. He thinks about things in a different way, which I'm really excited to for him to dive into further. But one of the things that I wanted to mention is if anybody has any questions throughout the entire presentation, please just throw it into the chat. Don't use our Q&A function, just straight into the chat. And what I'm going to do is, if it's relevant, I'll make sure to pepper it in throughout. But if not, we'll make sure to tackle it at the end. And shout out to everybody here. You all know your stuff too. So if you have any answers for people who dive into the chat, throw those answers in there too. Amazing. Well, to kick us off, where I'd first love to start is like, I keep talking about how great Patrick is, and it's on multiple facets, right? So like a big thing for me with Patrick and myself is he's a well-rounded human at the end of the day. So he spends a lot of time and now he's in Dubai. But at the end of the day, he has a couple kids, always learning, always a student, which is something I really admire. And how this is backed up is just by that professional expertise. So something about Patrick is he's been in marketing for 16 plus years and everybody sees the accolades associated with this. He takes on clients who are, again, looking to scale and make a big difference. And it's only a handful of clients at the end of the day to make sure the job is done extremely, extremely well. And he always goes out of his effort or out of his way to talk to some of the best in the game. So people you see on Twitter, people you might not even heard about, to really learn. And what I've learned is Patrick is truly a master, which is this is a master class that we're going to try to get to today. Hopefully I did you justice there, sir. Hopefully I did you justice there.
Thanks, Evan.
I got you. Okay, so to kick this off, before we actually get into the actual process of, and I'll stop sharing my screen here, but before we start getting into the different steps within creative strategy that you hear us talk about all the time, I would just love to know overall, how do you view paid socials channels in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, I see a very big shift. And I think it is 2 years now, more than 2 years now. I made a joke, which is 10 years ago, we were able to scale businesses over billboards. And it seems like we're going back to these times again. And if you have a look at the current trends, tracking loss, browser with cookie blocker, what Apple is doing now again. I'm not sure if you guys read it, but yeah, it's getting harder, definitely. But anyway, that's a good chance to go back to marketing. We all had the luck in the past 5 years, at least. The past 2 years were harder, but 3 years before, letting the algorithm do the work. So, and a lot of brands or agencies still stuck in these times, doing more offers, higher offers, more bundles, different bundles, instead of focusing on the message just to save the return. But this is not going to work anymore. And the biggest shift I see from the technical part, so we are moving in a black box now, and it's like throw everything in and see what comes out. The biggest thing is every push channel, or at least Facebook, TikTok and Facebook is the hardest impact, turning to pull channels. So people are actively searching on social platforms. And I think this is the biggest shift. So I'm curious how, because also Google is aware of this trend. What's their solution? And I have a quote from Google's vice president, who is responsible for search results. What's their solution? What's their way to catch up? Because at the moment, most of the young people and also people like us starting searching on TikTok for restaurants or recommendations, on Facebook for restaurants, Instagram for places, whatever. And this is gonna be a big part also in our research. Yeah, and I don't want to tell too much, but yeah, the biggest shift is definitely push channels are the next pull channels. So we need to think about this in every situation. When the users start also searching on these channels, how can we use this information?
That's a really big point. I think like understanding your push and pull channels, what that starts to mean. And because you have that definition, you can begin to manipulate's probably the wrong word, but be able to pull the strings you need to get the necessary outcomes. So I like that you've set the stage that way. And I think like a really good place to jump from here is we know that the arguably most important spot is the research that goes into things. So you and I have had extensive conversations about like ways we've seen a lot of people talk about research, but I also know there's other ways that you dive into things really deep. So I'm wondering, would you be able to walk people through the process that you go through when you're conducting your research? If you onboard a brand, you work with a brand, all that kind of stuff?
Definitely, yeah. Should I share my screen now or just?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's take them through it.
So as said and mentioned, for me, one of the biggest things is, so sorry, just Evan is in my slideshow. So can you see my screen? Can you confirm, Evan?
Yep, you're good to go.
Okay, great. Push is gonna be the new pull. And if you don't adapt your processes to this point, you will lose in long term. In 2019, Facebook announced this: reach people who are actively shopping with ads in Facebook search results. It's very simple. It's when people are using the search, they place your ad in their search results. And this was 2019. So I was like, okay, Facebook is adding a new placement. There's a reason why they are doing this. So I was constantly thinking about how can we use this information to do something. And this is the quote I mentioned before. This is a study of Google. In our study, something like almost 40% of young people, when they are looking for a place for lunch, they don't go to Google Maps or search, he said, they go to TikTok or Instagram. And this is the senior vice president of Google's knowledge and information division. And what I meant then, he added, keeps learning over and over again. So Google also needs to improve. And this is an interesting game at the moment. I think there's a huge change. And as mentioned, it started in 2019. So see how fast Google can adapt. I think Facebook is not the biggest competitor for them, but TikTok definitely is going to be a big challenge. And TikTok answer was, I think 1 month or 2 months ago, they upped their video description from 300 to 2,200 characters. So with that said, they are actively pushing the search market for themselves. So because when you have a 300 letter description, and you turn to 2,200. There is a reason. So it's like, sorry to say that, but it's like writing a blog post on TikTok. Makes no sense for me now, but there's a lot of money in the background. They have a reason to do this. And so the biggest value bomb for me, or in general, I think in this time, in this area, is there is one solution which solves all our problems in research. If we can identify the search terms, because when we know the user search terms, then we have a retrospective on the problem. So we address the problem and can showcase the solution much easier. And this is a big thing. Always, when we do research, we are heavy on the point to say, okay, what are they looking for? And when I say, what are they looking for? What's the search term? What are they typing? And we try to figure this out. And this is a thing we started in 2019, as we noticed there is this search trend on social. It's called seeding, social seeding. And basically what social seeding is, you're using different creator channels on YouTube, also YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you try to have organic posts stuffed with keywords and text to rank when they are looking for you. So you need your brand keyword, you need different keywords to rank for their search result, to be in the top results of the search. And this is what we call social seeding. And in a group we had a discussion about a few things, but the main point is great here. I think the main benefit of the story, we need to understand that paid social is not just a push channel anymore, it is push plus pull. And we need to be aware of this. Use keywords in copies, matching with keywords on the landing page. So in my brain, as I wrote it here, matching keywords in a file name, it's also a thing we're doing, and you will see some tests. Perhaps testing keywords on the thumbnail, videos, ads, etc. The last point is really, let's see how fast the game adapts and what's the next changes in these platforms. I don't think we go back in a time where also Google, we did kind of keyword stuffing, but we need to be very sensible on this point to use the keywords in our copies, to use hashtags with the keywords for the organics, because this is basically what the platforms are looking for also, with hashtags related to find our product or our brand in the top results. And that's why we started the seeding strategy for clients. Because fact is, with every dollar we invest in an impression, and there's no matter if we are using conversions or brand objective, we generate awareness for the whole industry and not just for our product and brand. So every time our brands have an impression, it's not just an impression or awareness for their product and their brand, it's the product. And if the user is on Google, on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube, and search for the product, for a product test or product preview, whatever, and our competitors are on the top places and not our brand, this is terrible. So think like Meta, TikTok, how can we improve ranking with our organic posts, and especially with new organic posts, and how can we use this knowledge to create better ads? And as mentioned, else other brands will take the conversion for sure, which brings us to the research part. Research, for me, it's extremely important for me and my team to stick to this process. It's a 5-step, the 5th point is on the next slide, a 5-point process where we start with all the data, the brand's data from the customer service sales team, getting the 3 to 5 top questions asked. So we have a feeling for the brand, what's the customer's intent, or also 3 to 5 questions why they didn't buy. This is gold, because then we can try to, if we identify these points, we can try to speak about it in the ads in a way we solve these problems upfront. And the next thing is search engine. So basically looking for articles, blogs, magazines, everything on Google or Microsoft, what you prefer, or basically Google because the highest volume. And why we are starting with the first 2 points is basically psychology. We want our brains to be primed. We want to be deep in the product from the brand's perspective, number 1, and from a market perspective, number 2. Because if you have top blog article, you get a lot of knowledge from different perspectives and different people, different magazines. But also, this is the first step in identifying concepts or angles, however you name it. And the next thing is reviews. Reviews, I have examples. So one example, always search for the reason why. It makes no sense to take every 5-star review, put it in and say, hey, nice, a 5-star review. That's shit. That's totally shit. And I prefer to do it manually and not to automate it. This simple reason, if you have automation with web scraping or something, you end up with a lot of reviews. And so you have no selection. And this is why the first 2 points are so important for me to start with, because with point 3, we primed our brain, and on point 3, we know, okay, what we are looking for. We're looking for the why. Is in the review, is there a solution mentioned? Is there a problem mentioned? Or is it just a nice review? Or is it just a bad review? So either way, if there is no why, if there's no solution, if there's no problem, it's not worth anything. And then for sure, the social search. What are they talking about and how they are talking about? So we need to use their words. Read every comment related to your product, to your brand. And then store your results, keep it simple and stupid. So this is our agency template. We will share it after the presentation. I don't want to open it now because it takes a bit of time, but I will definitely also provide a Loom record to walk you through. We really tried, or I'm a big fan of, try to keep it simple and stupid so everyone can adapt and everyone don't, and so we don't waste too much time in documents with 20, 30 columns. I saw so many things and really tried to improve it. And the biggest thing for everyone, keep in mind, it's their mind, not yours. So when you do research, you need to think what they need, what they are looking for, and not I'm the brand, I know what's my product, I know what I can, and I'm so good. Yeah, you think it, but what the truth is, what's the user thinking about it? And so to all brands and agency, avoid involving your ego, just listen to your customers and do your research. This is so important. If we have our ego on the side and go in this research, it's a way better outcome. And so this is the first gold. When I say digging for gold, is when you do the research in search in push channels on TikTok. This is example TikTok from ASOS. It's not our client, but I take it because it really represents the point perfectly. If you type in a brand or a product name or something or a hashtag, and you see all these numbers, especially on brand profiles, and this is what we do when we're looking for competitors, and you see these brand profiles at the first point, it's very common. There's nothing special. But then when I highlight the numbers, this is very interesting. You see their average is, I would say, something like 30K when you walk through the whole account, or 50K. And then you see, okay, the numbers above are pretty high, yeah, it's nice, but look at these numbers, they're huge compared to the other one. So there are two reasons. The content went viral, which is possible, but in this amount of video views, I think unrealistic, but possible. And so my guess is they used the free ad organic posts for Spark ads. So sorry, for Spark ads. And this is very interesting because now we can analyze this free organic posts and think about what's the hook. So what's the thumbnail, what's the hook, what's the message, what is happening in this whole video. And maybe, or hopefully we can find some interesting insights and improve, if we are fashion label, something, improve our ads. Or at least we know, okay, ASOS had Spark ads on this free or invested money on this free, there is a reason for it. And so this is very interesting, and analyze this organic posts. This is a 4-step analysis method. So you start with thumbnail, with the hook, analyze the content, and if is there a call to action? So is it a direct response content? If yes, which call to action are they using, and where are they using the call to action? Is it just at the end, or is there a soft call to action in the first 7 seconds? This is also something you should be aware of. Use screen record or tools like Foreplay to save the video and write down your insights and learnings and share it with the team. It makes no sense just watching it, thinking, okay, this is nice, and jump to another research block. So you lose everything. Another great point is, so we will onboard a dog client. That's why I use this example. YouTube results, because YouTube is social search and thumbnail Champions League. You need to write great headlines, great descriptions, but also you need nice thumbnails for curiosity. YouTube for me is a nice channel to get inspiration. And I highlighted here 3 things, 3 words, because when you have a look at my search term, it was how to wash a dog professionally. And YouTube told me, Patrick, no one says how to wash a dog. It's dog bathing, how to bath a dog, or how to bath your dog. But no one says how to wash a dog. And so this is also a nice insight for me. Because generally, when you use this search engines, you get suggestions. And this is why I left this in. It's a very simple suggestion, but you will see if you type some search terms, you have these corrections, and this is super helpful. Also this one, 5-minute vegan meals. And now it's a good example to think about anchors or hooks. I called it in my search term, 5-minute vegan meals. And then there is lazy vegan recipes, crazy easy vegan recipes, mouth-watering vegan. So there is definitely the point with laziness and convenience, but also with the taste. And so we have 2 anchors now. We can say, okay, if we do it 100 correctly, we have 3. We have this lazy part, people who are lazy. We have this easy part. So for easy is not specifically fast. It's just, you know, the difference. And so a lazy person, easy and mouth-watering. This is also super interesting. And then look at the thumbnails. Can you use the thumbnail for an ad? I definitely say so, especially the woman with the timer or different meals here. And this is gold. What's also nice, when you search for brands, they tell usually, especially the bigger one, your bigger competitors, tell you their USP in Google, in the Google snippets. So if you have the search results on Google, identify the USP of other brands by just putting in their name, their product, and see what are they using, what are they writing here, how are they describing themselves. And so we have 3 different examples here. And then, so you know, okay, this is their USP. You won't use it because you cannot stand out if they are placed here. If this is their USP, you need another one. So why are you better? How can you compete? This is super interesting. And so this is also a point that we are doing. We have a look, what are the competitors doing? What are they saying about themselves? Or how do they see themselves? What's their positioning? And so we can find a better position or at least a different position.
Patrick, I love that. And I think it's so important, like being able to really treat it like push and pull so you can see that information. So I'm almost curious, like now that we're able to look at some different ways that we can conduct our research. I know there's the basics that everyone we're aware about, we've chatted about a lot. Now that you have this information, how do you translate it into action? Meaning, how do you try to translate that into a brief of what to do next? What does that look like for you?
This is in our brief, in our one. I said I'll share it with everyone. Here is a document where we store all these results. And how we do it is at the end of every column. So we have different tabs in Google Document or Google Sheets. And what we are doing is at the end of every say, we start with the customers, then with the blogs, in the blog section. We're using the link, we're putting in the link, the name of the blog and the important paragraph for us. And at the end of the columns, there is a column named Tag Cloud. And Tag Cloud is basically, can you search blogs 1 moment? The first one. Yeah, and at the end, there is a Tag Cloud. So what value is basically, is it positive for our brand or negative, or is it general positive for the product or negative? Sometimes you have products, sorry to say it, but in one research yesterday, it can cause cancer. And so this is really shit. You need to talk to your client. Hey, is this true? How can we solve this problem? What's the reason behind it? And then you get the generic answer, hey, we need to put the sticker on it because this is a kind of rule. This is on every product in our niche, it's the case. And so we have the values positive or negative. We have the headline, we have the important paragraph, and at the end, there's a tag cloud. And when we look at the example from YouTube, then the tag cloud is like lazy. In the next line, it's easy and watermouthing. So basically the tag cloud in the next step decides what angles we are using. Is it mentioned often, say appearance, design, quality, or are the colors? Because maybe we have brands, they have 7 or I think there were 9 different colors on a t-shirt. And so color is a big thing it just works because of the color. And the next thing is design, quality, and then you end up with sustainability. Every sustainable brand thinks sustainability is a big thing. It's not. In your target group, sustainability, you cannot win a match with sustainability because they want sustainable clothes. So if you advertise, so your USP is sustainable on an ad, just talking on an ad, if your angle is sustainable, you cannot win because they are looking for sustainable. It's clear for them. It's necessary. So it's design, quality, or the color choice. I can't hear you, Evan.
Yeah, and from this point, this is where you have all of your research contained. And then once you have your research contained, the next step is really turning it into that like actionable item that we like to speak about. So at that point, what we start to think about is the actual brief structure and everything associated with this. So on this front, I'm almost wondering, do you want me to share my screen? Or you want to share your screen?
1 moment. Cool, it's loading. No, yeah. So I'll share mine.
Sure.
So 1 moment, I think you stole it.
If anything, I can go back, it's okay.
That's interesting. It's gone.
Okay, I'll go ahead.
Well, so I'll open it again. So I'm here. And just share. So sorry guys for waiting, and go down to brief structure. Yeah. Yeah, this is our brief structure. As said, we try to keep it very simple. And we usually start with problem. When we onboard clients, we usually start with a problem hook. And it's basically, some call it problem, others call it pain. It's always the same. It's problem solution or it's pain gain. However you name it, it's the same situation. What we found out, or at least works for us, is triggering the problem in a long term always wins. And this is why if you identify the search term, they're already looking for a solution. So you know their problem. And if you trigger the problem, answer with the solution, then we have the support. So support basically is, you can mention social proof or the ingredients, the quality. So just you support the solution. It's just the proof. Then you have benefits and the call to action. This is a simple brief structure. And if you stick to the structure, you have a lot of possibilities. Just if you just get one creator UGC, you can reorder this. You can try to start with a solution. You can try to start with the support of the solution. You can start with the benefits and see what's working. This is simple iterating on one UGC. So if you have the raw data, you can cut it however you want. And that's super nice. And this is why we're using this module system, because it helps you a lot. The structure guides you. It's super easy. You know, when you write the script, exactly what is the problem, or when you write the brief for the creators or for the brands and they send it to creators, you can start with the problem and you really have a guide. And then just cut it, video editor, cut it, use different text overlays. The next big thing is analyze it. So you can really step by step have a look what's working, what's not. Iteration on the winning modules. So sometimes you have a low thumbs up ratio, but a high average watch time. So you know, okay, people saw the video, don't really get caught, but if they are in, seems like, okay, they're watching. So message is at least the few people are here, they are watching it. So you also can have a low thumbs up ratio, but a high outbound CTR. And then you know, okay, the hook is too boring. We need to work on the hook because people are already clicking. So try to change the thumbnail, try to change the first 2 to 3 seconds. And also recycling. So new concepts or mashups. If you have, usually you end up with a lot of creators in a few months. And then you can have a look which creator had the best thumbs up ratio or which video had the best thumbs up ratio. Can we match this video, this first 2 to 3 seconds with a creator video? So you just use the first 2 to 3 seconds and use it for the start for a new, for existing creator and so on. Or you have, you know, okay, this outbound CTR was insane. So try to find why was it a great call to action? What was special on this outbound CTR, on this creative, and use it and cut it. So do mashups and make new concepts out of it. If you have no brief structure, you're not able to do this. You cannot analyze it. It's always just guesswork without a brief structure and without modules. I think modules, this is the most important part, to think in modules.
And I think the Lego is literally a perfect representation of that,
yeah.
Right? Like we've all been there, either with our kids or as yourself as when you were a child. It's like assembling it as you see fit. And then that way, if you pull it apart, you can kind of put it back together a different way. So now that we've been able to start briefing our teams who are going to start spitting out different variations and all of that kind of stuff, where I'm curious about now, and like to really start digging deep into your mind, is the launch strategy more than anything. So when we're ready to launch this within our paid ads, first and foremost, talk to us about, I know a big thing that we keep talking about is push and pull as the first thing. But the other thing that I'm so curious about is just like, how are you doing in launching your creative tests?
Yeah, also start here. So the launch definitely is one of the biggest thing here, because I identified a nice thing. And short recap to the search in push channels. I was like, everything and everyone was going broad. It started. So everyone was telling you need to go broad, just use 10% lookalikes, interest stacks. So it started, I think 2 years, 1.5, 2 years ago. So that was really mainstream to do this. We started a bit before his time with the creative testing, at least, to try this. We still used at this time, so 2.5 years ago, 3% or 8% lookalikes, but testing was mainly broad. It was at least broad or a 10% lookalike. And so I was, how can we help the algorithm finding better customers up front? Because when everyone is going broad and everything is going broad, Facebook is a black box. Giving away targetings. If you think about detailed targeting, what was possible 2 years ago and what's possible now, it's nuts, it's crazy. So it's exactly the way it's broad. It's Facebook is like, or TikTok is like, give us so many data as possible, or the biggest audience you can have, and throw in creatives. So all the part is done with the creatives. And then it's very simple. You have a review process, and basically Facebook and TikTok are reviewing your images, scanning the text, scanning the image, video, especially thumbnails, and the landing pages. This is where most ads get rejected at the end with the landing page problem. But there must be more, because this is what Facebook was doing, and this was kind of no surprise. Everyone knows this. And then I was, okay, how can I use the trend to push, to be if push is gonna be the new search, how can I use it? For our ads, is there a possibility? I said to have the ad faster in the right direction. Don't waste too much money on fail impressions. And so how was Google showing images and videos in search results? And how can we use it for paid social? And then I ended up with my first test. And the test was in this structure, we still use this. One ad set, and in each ad set was just one ad. So it was exactly the same ad set, the same audience, everything. In my first test, we tested this on different accounts. I wanted to really have each ad should have, and you see the impression counts, a similar chance. So if you have 3 ads in the next example in one ad set, you see end up some ads or one ad end up with very less impressions. But see at the CPC, have a look at the return. And now think about the following part. The only thing, and it was the only thing different in this 3 ad sets, was the file name before we uploaded the creative. But I think this is not so necessary, but we're still doing this, the ad name. So the part is, if Facebook is scanning the image, the video, the landing page, I think they are also try to get as much information as they can. When we have a look at the Facebook catalog, they ask you for the Google product category for a reason. The system is or was not that smart, so they tried to get every data point from you. And if I can help them with the file name, at least what I did, I ended up with great results and see the difference. And also in the next test was one ad set with 3 ads in it. And you see it's the same. It's this ad and everything here, it was the same. It was a very basic test. Everything was the same, just the file name and the ad name was different. And have a look at the impressions. It's not a 5 impression versus a 10 impression ad. It's not any fool you see on LinkedIn or something. There are a lot of impressions on it. So it's for us, it works great. And the only difference, as I told you, is this. Instead of generic naming like date, type info, whatever, this was ours or is our structure for the file name and for the ad name. So we have the date, we have the product, we have the type. So it's a video. We have then also the name of the creator. What we see on the ad, it's presenting nails covering face. So it's basically just your hand in front of a face. It's user-generated content, and it's summer color nails landing page. This was our method, and this was gold for us. It worked insane. I also talked about in a group with a few guys, and they tested it. Different results, but mainly it was a difference. So for them, no one, as far as I remember, denied that it's at least better. Maybe it's not a way better, but at least it was a bit better. And imagine if you have a 100K or 500K ad spend a month, and you just with this simple technique, you can hire your return 0.2, 0.4. This is insane. This is not nuts. This is insane. And so my important findings on this point, the keywords used, so in the ad name, the keywords must match the keywords on the landing page. And this is important because now I go back. What's the difference here? The first, it was an account running in Switzerland, Austria, Germany. The first ad was with English text. So it was English text, but the German landing page. And we also tested it the other way around. It had similar results. It never worked. The second is a German file name and the German landing page. So the keywords in my file name match the keywords on the landing page. And the last one was basically ad minus 1, something like that, or ad minus general, like this. So no information, but it's at least we had German word. I don't know why it performed a way better than, but I don't care about it. The thing is also here, you can see this is the EN English text, DE the German text, and this is general. It's German, basically meant general. And it's the same, exactly the same. It's German keywords matching the German landing page. And we had a great value, great output. And also if you see outbound clicks to landing page views, we have here kind of 76% tracking loss. So yeah, it's crazy.
When Patrick showed me this first, it was so interesting because I saw it live while he was running the test like a year and a half ago or something like that. And it was literally every single creative exactly the same. Only difference, ad names and the creative file names themselves. So really, like when he was chatting about the push and pull strategies and treating these social media platforms like search engines, at the end of the day, they're going to scrape that data to then determine, because we're saying broad audiences, how do we then say within that broad audience, who is the most likely to buy? Of course, we call it the algorithm. What Patrick's really dove into here is like, how does that actually work? How are they actually trying to deliver that? Which is so cool to me. And Patrick, we're running up on time here, and I definitely want to give people a chance to ask questions closest to the end.
So sorry. So yeah, and this is, so everything here you can read and matching the keywords. And I think there's a correlation with the meta text and metadata on the landing page. I think this is the only observation when we saw minimal better results. It was mostly on clients which had took not the best care in their shops. And the testing setup is very simple for us. It's an ABO. We test on ad set level, ad group, broad targeting, and free ads. We always run one test with free ads. This is it. The settings, we don't use more ads because when I have 5 ads in it, 2 to 3 ads end up with 2 less spend to have significance. And then I always have the feeling, maybe they can do better, but Facebook or TikTok did that choice too early. And so I always prefer free ads for one test. It's also very conservative, I know, with DCO, but I hate DCO. It's showing you results 7 day, 9 day, 14 day. I always have different results. I love it for sales campaigns or general short-term campaigns. This is okay because you don't have a lot of effort, but in general for testing, I don't recommend it. And
Patrick,
you see the setting. Yeah.
Oh, sorry to cut you off. I'm just thinking, like, now that we have this live, I'd love if you could show everyone like some of the metrics you're using to actually evaluate success. And then that way, I think like with 5 minutes left, we can give people a chance to ask questions. Perfect.
So basically we follow a very basic formula. Grab attention, hold attention, make them click. And so the platform has it's every platform wants one of those 2 things. Make you happy, bringing you conversions, or making them happy, the users, with great user experience. So engagement is king, but conversion is queen. What I'm talking about is don't chase for the highest thumbs up ratio. Don't chase for the highest average watch time. This is nice for engagement ads, but we are in direct response. We want performance ads. So we need a reasonable thumbs up ratio and a reasonable average watch time. And this is the point. If your ads are too much in education or entertainment, they are watching. Yeah, that's nice. If you have a 40 or 60% hook rate on a broad audience, there are 2 ways. You have shit traffic, or you bring shit people in the funnel because you just hook them. It's like clickbait, or you have a product everyone needs. There is no other reason for such high thumbs up ratios, especially in niches. You usually with broad ad sets, you can't reach this. And we have 3 levels. There is something missing. Interesting. Okay, so we have different levels. The first level is the engagement level. And the one I want to present to is post engagement divided by impressions. I call it fatigue, because you can see in a post engagement is everything. It's click, a share, a comment, it's 3-second video views. There's a lot in it. And if you see fatigue decreasing, you know it's time for new ads. There's definitely time for new ads. Thumbs up ratio, average watch time, everyone knows them. And what we do is kind of video engagement level. We have a look at who watched 3 seconds, watched 25%, 25% who made it to 50%. And the whole funnel. So be aware of this. If there's any significant change, then you have to think about, especially on running ads. If more people are between 50 and 75 and between 25 and 50, they're looking for information, because this is how Facebook works. They don't measure that 50%, 75%. They measure where you click on the progress bar. So if you click to the end, you're on 75%. And so they are looking for information. Then we have the second level, performance data, and there's another self-calculated metric we are using. It's outbound clicks divided by 3-second video plays. Because what I want to know is everyone who watched 3 seconds of my video, did they visit our website? So this is also super interesting for us. CPC and outbound CTR, everyone knows. The third level is also nothing new. Click to purchase ratio, purchase divided by outbound clicks, and cost per results ROAS. So the third level is a problem. because on this level, you have this iOS influence. And so data may come up to 3 days, 48, 72 hours delayed. And the main level, these are exactly the slides from our creative SOP, is always remember, challenge the platform, but don't forget the goal. And this is so important. I know we're always talking about attribution tools and so on, but if the platform is telling you this ad is shit, but the tracking tool tells you this is a ROAS of 3.4, I think there is something wrong. And the other way around, if the platform is telling you this is a great ad, but the attribution tool is telling you hey, this is a 0.2, you need to dive deeper in this. Because to be honest, I know a lot of people telling you they are completely in 100% data driven. But if we have an ad with great engagement KPIs, thumbs up ratio, promise, this is our metric, it's called promise. Promise basically, I think a lot of guys will call it gold rate. For us, it's promise. And we have thumbs up ratio divided by 3 seconds or 50% video views divided by 3 seconds. If we have videos longer than 45 seconds, I definitely use the 50% divided to 3 second video plays. Yeah, this is the thing. And then we're using motion, and in motion we have 3 top reports. So we have, and this is important, every account has a benchmark matrix. You cannot compare your thumbs up ratio with the industry. That's not so. When someone tells you you need a thumbs up ratio 30 or 40%, that makes no sense because they don't know your product, they don't know your offers. You should not chase the high thumbs up ratio. Look at the average of your account and see, okay, what's possible and in which ratio. With a client, it's between 90 and 26% thumbs up ratio. We have the best returns on platform, but also on third-party tools. And this is what we are doing. We have these 3 reports. We filter average watch time is greater or equals to 3, because this specific client makes totally sense. Then we have the second report, and so we have this emojis for motion to have to find our reports faster. And then we have the second one is outbound CTR is higher than the average. And also thumbs up ratio is higher than 20. This is what we knew. Okay, higher than 20 is perfect. This is for us the sweet spot in this account where we don't scam people with like clickbait, but we're also doing great money and great return. And another great feature, because it's visual, it's the first matrix KPIs I showed you. We have this exactly in this order in our ads manager. And what's also nice in motion is you can have the 25, 50, 75, and 95% video. It's basically see who watched 25, 50, 70, and 9. It makes no sense in these reports to have 100% because Facebook is telling you 100%, but in reality it's 97%, because then they say the rollout's coming and people leaving the ads. So it's the case, it's a 97%.
And I think, Patrick, well, everyone, I promise I didn't tell Patrick to say that one just about motion, but we have a couple questions that rolled in that I think we can tackle the last 5 minutes. So in the chat, one of the most recent ones came in from Michelle. And what they're asking is, if a platform is saying it's a good ad, but metrics are terrible, in your experience, what are some of the possible problems or reasons for this?
If the platform is telling you, so we're talking about the soft KPIs are great, but the return is bad, is this correct? Or the platform is telling you in general it's great, but third party is telling you it's...
Engagement metrics are strong, but bottom of funnel isn't great.
Okay, I don't see any problem in this. It sounds weird for some guys, but think about this. If you have this great soft KPIs. I call it soft KPIs. And it's a top funnel ad. So UGC or video, you bring people in. And sometimes it's exactly this ad, bring new people and they converting on another ad. We have it in some campaigns we see one ad has terrible return metrics in outbound CTR and returns, but high soft KPIs. And the third ad has low soft KPIs, very low, but an insane return. And then it's time for us to use also Google Analytics and based on UTM parameter, have a look, okay, should we let it run, the first one with the high soft KPIs, or should we turn it off? In a lot of cases, to be honest, if the soft KPIs are very high, above average, so high, really wide above average, we let it run. Because for me, I know, okay, any other ad will convert these users. We bring them in our funnel. This definitely, what I say and what I prefer is if you have an ad with high soft KPIs, very high soft KPIs, let it run and try to push it.
Are you ever worried that in that situation, it's a traffic situation? Where it's like the traffic quality might be reduced a little bit with high soft metrics?
Definitely not, because if you have a bad return, it seems like you're not clicking. For me, outbound CTR, if outbound CTR also is high, but then you have a problem because then you promise something in the ad and they don't see it on the landing page. But as far as I understood the question, it is if I have a high thumbs up ratio, high average watch time, high hold rate, if this is the case, and it's very high, let it run. But if you see also you have a high outbound CTR, then you need to turn it off, because then exactly is happening what Evan was telling us now is there is a mismatch between the ad and the landing page. In these cases, because we had this 1 month ago, we tested a new angle and had insane outbound CTRs. Thumbs up ratio was great, average watch time, hold rate, everything was great. Also thumbs up ratios, it was insane. The ads bomb, but we have nearly 0 conversions rate. I think it was 2 to 3 conversions on 700-900 spent, kind of like this. And then we switched it off and asked the client to build a new landing page specific for this angle. And this is killing it. But great question, Evan, thanks, yeah.
Of course. And I think with that, I know there's a bunch of questions and everyone could like ask a million of them. Please make sure you connect with Patrick just on LinkedIn, on Twitter, all that good stuff. I'll be sure to include that in the email out tomorrow that has the recording as well as some of these templates like we've talked about today. But Patrick, really appreciate you, my friend. This is great. Again, the mad scientist at work, everybody. Thank you so much for this. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, and sorry to have too less time to talk more. I go a lot deeper, but I think you got the basics and the understanding for what we are doing and how we're doing it, and stick to the process.
Entirely. Amazing. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk soon. We'll see you at our next one. Connect with Patrick, all that good stuff. See ya.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.